When you talk about controlling your mouth, you're really talking about mastering one of the most powerful weapons you have, your words. And in the spirit of Eric Thomas, you've got to understand this at a deep level. Your mouth can either be the reason you rise or the reason you fall. Too many people sabotage their own success because they speak without thinking, react without control, and let emotions drive their language. You don't lose opportunities overnight. You lose them in conversations, in moments where you should have stayed disciplined but chose to speak out of anger, ego, or frustration. Anybody can talk when things are going well, but real strength is shown when you're under pressure. Can you stay silent when disrespected? Can you choose growth over being right? That's control, that's power. Because once words leave your mouth, they don't come back, and the damage they do can last longer than you think. Controlling your mouth means you become intentional. You stop gossiping, stop complaining, stop speaking negativity into your own life. You don't entertain useless talk that doesn't move you forward. Instead, you speak with purpose. Every word becomes aligned with your goals, your vision, and the person you're trying to become. You start asking yourself before you speak, is this necessary? Is this helpful? Is this moving me forward? And if the answer is no, you learn to hold it in. That's discipline, and don't get it twisted. This isn't about being fake or silent all the time. It's about being strategic. It's about understanding that your voice carries weight and you don't waste it on nonsense. Winners don't just act differently, they speak differently. They encourage, they uplift, they bring solutions instead of problems. Even when they're going through pain, they don't let their mouth create more problems for their future. Because here's the truth, your life is shaped by what you consistently say. If you keep speaking doubt, you'll live in doubt. If you keep speaking negativity, you'll attract negativity. But if you start speaking growth, discipline, and belief, your life starts to shift in that direction. Controlling your mouth also means knowing when to listen, because sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all. You observe, you learn, you grow. You don't have to win every argument, you have to win in life. And that requires emotional control, maturity, and discipline. At the end of the day, your mouth should reflect your mindset and your mission. It should represent where you're going, not where you're stuck. So if you're serious about leveling up, start with your words. Clean up your language, cut out the negativity. Speak with intention, because when you control your mouth, you start controlling your outcomes, and that's when everything begins to change. When it comes to controlling your mind, you're stepping into the real battlefield, the place where success is either built or destroyed long before the world ever sees the result. In the spirit of Eric Thomas, understand this clearly. If you don't take authority over your mind will take control over you. Every single day, there's a war going on inside your head. One voice is telling you to push, to grow, to stay disciplined, to believe in your vision. The other voice is feeding you doubt, fear, excuses, and comfort. And the difference between average and great is simple. Who wins that internal battle? Most people lose not because they don't have talent, but because they allow negative thoughts to live rent-free in their minds. They wake up already defeated, already questioning themselves, already giving power to fear before they even try. That's not a lack of ability, that's a lack of mental control. You've got to train your mind like your life depends on it, because it does. You can't just let any thought walk in and make itself at home. You've got to filter it, challenge it, and if it doesn't serve your growth, you've got to shut it down immediately. When your mind says you're tired, you respond with keep going. When it says this is too hard, you say this is what I signed up for. When it whispers you can't, you shout back, watch me. That's the level of authority you need. Controlling your mind means you don't let temporary feelings make permanent decisions. You don't quit just because it's uncomfortable. You don't stop just because it's boring. You don't give up just because nobody is clapping for you. You stay locked in, focused on the bigger picture, committed to the vision even when the results aren't showing yet. Because discipline starts in the mind before it ever shows up in your actions. And let's be real, your environment, your past, your struggles, they all try to shape how you think. But you've got to decide that your future matters more than your past. You've got to reprogram your thinking daily. Feed your mind with positivity, growth, knowledge, and purpose. Cut off negativity, limit distractions, and surround yourself with things that push you to be better. Because whatever you feed your mind will grow. If you feed it excuses, you'll produce excuses. If you feed it discipline, you'll produce results. It's that simple, and don't expect it to be easy. Mental control is a daily grind. Some days you'll feel strong. Other days your mind will try to drag you down. But consistency is the key. You keep showing up, you keep fighting back, you keep choosing growth over comfort. Because once you master your mind, everything else starts to fall into place. Your actions become sharper, your focus becomes stronger, and your confidence becomes unshakable. At the end of the day, you can't always control what happens around you, but you can always control how you think about it. And when you truly understand that, when you truly take ownership of your mind, that's when you stop being controlled by circumstances and start controlling your destiny. When it comes to controlling your money, you're not just talking about finances. You're talking about discipline, freedom, and the kind of life you're building for yourself. In the spirit of Eric Thomas, you've got to hear this loud and clear. If you don't control your money will control you. Too many people are out here working hard, earning income, but still living stressed, still living paycheck to paycheck, not because they don't make enough, but because they don't manage what they make. They spend without thinking, chase instant gratification, and try to impress people who aren't even paying attention. That's a losing mindset. Control over money starts with understanding that every rupee you earn has a purpose. You've got to tell your money where to go instead of wondering where it went. That means budgeting, planning, and being intentional. It means saying no to things that feel good in the moment so you can say yes to things that matter in the long run. Because real wealth isn't about flashy clothes, expensive phones, or showing off on social media. It's about having options, having security, and having peace of mind. And that only comes when you build discipline around your finances. You've got to develop the habit of saving, even when it's hard. You've got to invest in your future, even when nobody else sees the vision, because broke habits don't create rich results. If every time you get money, your first instinct is to spend it, then you're training yourself to stay stuck. But when you start holding onto your money, growing it, and making it work for you, everything changes. You begin to build power, not just financially, but mentally. You become less desperate, less stressed, and more in control of your life. And let's be real, it's not about how much you make. It's about how much you keep and how wisely you use it. There are people earning a lot but still struggling because their mindset is wrong. And there are people earning less but building stability because they understand discipline. Control means you don't let emotions drive your spending. You don't buy things just because you're bored, stressed, or trying to fit in. You stay focused on your goals, you delay gratification, you understand that short-term sacrifice leads to long-term success. And yes, it's going to be uncomfortable. There will be times when you want to spend, when you feel like you deserve a reward. But that's where discipline kicks in. That's where you remind yourself why you started. because every smart decision you make with your money today is building a better tomorrow. At the end of the day, controlling your money is about respect for your effort, your time, and your future. You worked for that money, so don't waste it. Use it as a tool to build the life you want. Because when you finally master your money, you're not just surviving anymore. You're thriving, you're growing, and you're stepping into a level of freedom that most people only dream about. When you bring it all together, your mouth, your mind, and your money, you step into a level of discipline that most people talk about but very few actually live. This is where separation happens. In the spirit of Eric Thomas, understand this. Controlling one area of your life might get you progress, but controlling all three, that's where transformation lies. Because you can have a strong mindset, but if your mouth is reckless, you'll destroy relationships and opportunities. You can speak well and think strong, but if you don't control your money, you'll stay stuck financially no matter how motivated you feel. Real power comes when all three are aligned, when what you think, what you say, and what you do with your resources are all working in the same direction. That's when you become dangerous in the best way possible. That's when you stop living reactively and start living intentionally. Because now you're not just chasing success. You're becoming the kind of person who attracts it naturally. Controlling your mouth means you're building bridges, not burning them. You're speaking life, vision, and discipline into everything you touch. Controlling your mind means you're unshakable. No matter what comes your way, pressure, setbacks, criticism, you stay focused, you stay grounded, and you keep moving forward. And controlling your money means you're building a future that isn't dependent on luck or circumstances, but on strategy and discipline. When all three are in sync, you eliminate chaos from your life. You reduce unnecessary stress, cut out distractions, and gain clarity on what really matters. And let's be honest, that kind of control isn't easy. It requires daily effort. It requires saying no when it's uncomfortable, staying silent when you want to react, pushing forward when your mind tells you to quit, and holding onto your money when everything in you wants to spend. But that's the price of greatness. Nobody becomes elite by accident. It's built through consistent discipline in the small things that most people ignore. And over time, those small wins compound. You start seeing better results, building stronger relationships, making smarter decisions, and creating real stability in your life. You go from being reactive to being proactive. You stop blaming circumstances and start taking ownership. And that shift right there, that's everything. Because once you master yourself, the outside world becomes easier to navigate. You're no longer controlled by emotions, opinions, or temporary desires. You're guided by purpose, and purpose creates direction. Direction creates focus, and focus creates results. So if you're serious about leveling up, don't just work on one area and ignore the rest. Build discipline across the board. Train your mouth to speak with intention. Train your mind to think with power, and train your money to work with purpose. Because when you master these three, you're not just improving your life, you're redefining it. And at that point, success isn't something you chase anymore. It's something you embody every single day.